Okay, so this is a continuation of the previous video. I took some notes here. I woke up this morning, I couldn't sleep, and I ended up taking 4 pages worth of notes, and I'm just scratching the surface here. But I wanted to specify a couple of things I forgot to say in my previous half of the video, is that the function of the 12,000 is to hold the grid in place before the planet gets taken down. Basically, they hold the grid so that the planet does not come down before its time. I've heard other people talk about the fact that there's an overlay that's being held up, an overlay above the planet, so that it doesn't collapse. I didn't think of that, or didn't get that feeling. But it doesn't mean it's incorrect. In other words, the grid could be up here, the grid could be here. I just thought when they told me that, I thought the grid was something on the planet, or on the actual planet, not above. But it totally kind of confirms that kind of concept, which is something is being held together till the very last minute. Otherwise, it would be crumbling. That's why the 12,000 are the last people to leave this planet, and the ones that are going to New Earth to set up basically the new planet. There will be other people going. We will remember things, and so people will be able to come and go from other planets. Now, some people will not be able to go directly to New Earth for the simple reason they won't be able to take the energy there. It doesn't mean this is not a judgment on where anyone is, because again, go back to what I was saying in the previous part of the video where I talked about egalitarian society. We are all the same. We have just made different choices. It's like somebody saying, "Oh, I want to be an electrician," and somebody else who wants to be a plumber. That's it. It's equal. So when we talk about equal, I really mean it like in a non-judgmental way. Like when you say that you go over to your friend's house, or say that you and your roommate one day are home, and your roommate is doing the dishes, and you decide to clear the table. Who's more important between the two of you? That's the kind of concept. That's how they made it feel to me. Like there is no difference between anyone's mission. In fact, when it comes to mission, I get a feeling from them that there is no mission, really. A lot of us like to think that we come in with a life purpose. I am one of those people, so I completely understand, and I know what it means to feel that way, that we chose a life purpose. Now, while we came in very 3D ways, we came in with an idea of what we're going to do, or the role we're going to have in our group, in our team. That's why we decided, we're incarnating with these people, and then we're going to have these roles among each other and these interactions. That's all great. What the idea of not having a mission simply means that we have freedom of choice. We not only have freedom of choice before we come in a particular role, in a particular part. We also have freedom of choice while we're in it. So if tomorrow you decide to become a light worker, you can. Or if you are a light worker already, and tomorrow you decide you don't want to be a light worker anymore, you can. They made it clear. They responded the same way to a bunch of different questions where they said, is that what you want? If you want it, it's yours. You can do exactly as you please at any time. And this can be very discombobulating, because it's like, oh, my life purpose. And trust me when I tell you, I've always thought I had a life purpose. And so it totally makes sense. And again, in a way we do, because we come in with that idea. They're trying to say there is no life purpose, no mission, in the sense of you can change it at any time. It is not like a life sentence. It's not like you're committing your life to something. It's not a vow that your entire life has to be spent doing one specific thing. If you're a light worker and you decide that, you know what, you need a break, you're going to take 10 years, just focus on yourself, laying about on a beach, bumming it out and just being happy, and it's totally fine. Now, in many ways, you're still, from a certain perspective, you're still spreading your light, especially if you're happy, and that's fine. But I'm saying, say that you think of yourself as a healer, and for you, being a healer means that you're treating people, that, you're treating them one-on-one meetings, whatever it is, or you're treating them in whatever way you do, or through massage or whatever it is, you decide to take 10 years off, it's okay. It's totally okay. You don't have to do anything. That's the freeing message they came across with, which is they said you can even switch teams at any time. So if you want to be more selfish, you want to be more just focused on yourself, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. We get these messages in society through the institutions that you have to be a certain way or another. For example, the country I come from, Italy, you have to decide when you're a child pretty much that who you're going to be in life. In fact, they get you stuck in certain career paths that start in school where you cannot even get out. For example, I've always been very scientifically minded. And since I was in high school, I told my mother, for example, I wanted to go study math in college and science. And she told me, I don't want to have to maintain you forever, because in her mind, the only thing that you can do with that in Italy is you become a teacher. And she's a teacher and she knows she's never made that much money. And she thought, what are you setting yourself up for? And it didn't even come into her consciousness that I could do something else with that. Now, knowing myself, I could have still come to the United States. I could have still gotten an MBA if I wanted to. I could have done anything with a background in science that didn't even have to be in the sciences. But that's an example to show you how many of us, that's an extreme, but basically many of us, in many ways, we do have this mindset where you have to do a certain thing. I know I certainly did when it came to my life purpose. I'm here to do X, Y, Z. And then I realized now, yes, of course, I like to do that. I want to do that, but I don't have to. And that's very freeing, because now I know it's always my choice. I get up every morning and I can choose what to do. So when I do choose my mission again and again, I know that that's really what I want to do. I'm not stuck here because of a decision that I may have made. There is no time, but let's use human language, a decision I may have made, decades ago before I even came in this last reincarnation. So that seemed a very positive message to me in that sense. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is that I have always heard spiritual people talk about the fact that we are multidimensional beings. The way that I envisioned it was that I thought about it, I took that message when I heard it, was that we can be basically in different places at once. So what that meant to me is that I am Clea, I'm right here in the 3D, and somehow while I'm here, fully here, pieces of me, fractals of me, however they call these parts of me, are somewhere else, living multiple realities at once. In fact, I even heard somebody say that we have multiple pieces of us living at the same time on Earth. And that's very possible. I don't see why it shouldn't be possible. I mean, I'm learning more and more about how the planet works, so I don't see why that shouldn't be possible. But that's how I saw it. It was almost like separate, again, the separation, right? The separate lives that I was living at different levels. And I thought this is how it works for all of us. The very clear feeling that I got during my hypnosis session, was that what it means that we are multidimensional is that we are in 3D. Basically, it's based on where we can be in different places based on where we focus. So it's still us. There is no separation. There are no pieces. So the way that I saw myself was, there is me in this body. My ego mind, my brain is in this body. This body, when I'm focused here like I am now, I am here. I'm fully here. And when I say fully, who knows? They might still have, fractals somewhere else. But my focus is here right now. Whereas when my focus is not here, because they made it clear on the 25th that we go back and forth all the time. We're not here all the time, even during the day. We're not here at night. For sure, we travel. And I thought that's when we traveled at night. They said, no, even during the day, we're gone all the time. So today, say that I am driving. It happened to me yesterday. I'm sure it happens to a lot of you. I was driving home. I was in the car for a half hour. I spaced out so much. I didn't even realize when I got home. I was like, oh, I'm home. Okay. I have a very clear feeling I was gone. My body was functioning. My brain was functioning. Clearly, my muscle memory worked. I drove home safely and it was fine, but I wasn't there. I was elsewhere. So when that happens, I think that our focus, basically my focus, would have been in those other dimensions, wherever I was while I was doing this. When I was under hypnosis, I initially went to the 14th dimension. My focus was there, and that's why I saw that. Now, was I only in the 14th dimension? Does it mean that while I'm here, I'm also in the 14th dimension? I think that, again, especially when it comes to dimensions about the third, we travel. We come in and out just as much as we do it here, where we have a physical body that we leave behind. I don't know if we leave behind physical bodies there, but I'm sure there's one of us. That's what I'm trying to say, that the feeling I got that there's only one of us that goes, that is everywhere, or, but not necessarily at the same time, or is they leave something behind, maybe in different dimensions, but the actual, I'm going to call it higher self, even though it's not really what it is. It's our essence is what it is. But this higher self, this ethereal person, travels. And I did get a feeling of travel when the practitioner asked me while I was in the 14th dimension, where are you from? I was pulled back to the 25th dimension. It wasn't I was literally sucked into the 25th dimension. In fact, initially I said, I'm up at the 20-something dimension. I couldn't even tell where I was because I felt travel. I felt movement. Okay. And then I got to the 25th dimension, and then I realized we're up there, and they talk about people coming back to them. When they have to rest, they say, you come back home. So yes, while we have access to all of this, it's about where we put our focus. And the part about the focus is important, because I think that everything exists only if we put our focus on it. And what I mean by this, I'm not talking about we give energy to an idea and therefore that's how the idea manifests and gets multiplied and amplified, and then it becomes reality for multiple people, lots of people, or whatever. I'm talking about the fact that a lot of our stories, for example, our past, because there is no time, everything is always there, and it only becomes real when we put our focus on it. JCK, who's somebody who I think is outstanding, and I do follow her regularly. She also had a QHHT session, and she was talking about, she said something came through for her where she said that the past is like a movie that you have in your video recorder, and that, or your VHS, I don't even remember what these things are called, and that when you go and play it is when it becomes real, meaning that you're now focused on it. The movie was there all along, and the moment that you focus on it is when it becomes real. And then when you remove your focus away from it, it's almost like it doesn't exist anymore. Like it stays there, like in the still reality. And I'm paraphrasing here. You can watch her video. I think it's 164, video 164. Outstanding. She is just outstanding in every way. But basically, the way that I understood that is that we must give our focus to something for that to actually be real for us. So even the past doesn't really exist until we pay attention to it. In the same way, we are not in different dimensions until we actually pay attention there. Now, we might not in the 3D be aware of ourselves paying attention to a different dimension, but we can start noticing when we're not fully here. For example, I remember growing up, I did this so much that my parents gave up on me. I would walk by the television, get stuck in front of it like I was hypnotized, and I would be traveling. Who knows where I was? I don't even remember where we think about it. It would last several minutes. My parents, when I finally came out of it, they would tell me, we called you, we asked you several times to move, and you didn't even hear us. And so they gave up, because short of pushing me out of the way, I was just unreachable. That's what I'm talking about. You might have your own experience with this. That's what I'm talking about when I say where your focus is where you are. And I wasn't there. Obviously, when I was little, I didn't know what was happening. But this is exactly what happens. And I do wonder if a lot of people in this dimension who are not here very much, so they might have things that we consider in the 3D being mental issues or physical issues. I do wonder if they just travel more, or people who might have physical issues where they can't move at all and maybe they're gone all the time. I'm not quite sure how that works. I haven't gone into depth to ask about that, but I thought this was extremely interesting. And it also brings home the fact of how very important our focus is. And just to give you a final example, today something came up for me where I realized that I'm not willing to do something that somebody's changing the rules in an organization that I'm part of. It's a nonprofit that I'm part of. And I have no bad feelings. I just knew the second the rules change, I said, that's an idea that's not for me. I'm not putting my focus on it. Therefore, it's a non-problem. It didn't happen. Completely shifting in a different direction. It can be as simple as that. Now I realize most of life is not this simple. It really isn't at this level. And we have to be compassionate and be kind to ourselves because the 3D is very, very tough on us. Even though, according to the 25th, these are just bodies and shells and whatever it is. The game, because apparently it is a game, it's very, very tough for us. It's very, very real. But I am talking about these messages because there is a method to the madness. And I think, at least for me, this is very comforting to know. All right, well, this is the end of my video for today, and let's see what happens with this. Bye.